What I would do if I was getting into herbalism today, and why this is such a hard question for all of us to answer. Herbalism is so multifaceted, it encompasses so many things. So I have 4 questions that I ask anyone who asks me this question. Number 1, and possibly the most important, where are you located? This doesn't just matter because of what plants grow in your region and what you can grow in your region, but also common ailments. In the Southeast, we have lots of common ailments that we see over and over again that aren't as common in other parts of the world. Number 2, are you more interested in working one-on-one with people or formulating things? Number 3, are you more interested in learning what grows in your area and how to work with it, or a different type of herbalism from another part of the world and ordering your plants online? Number 4, are you wanting to make a career out of herbalism, or are you doing this just for yourself, your friends, and your family? The second question that I hear a lot is, how long does it take to become an herbalist? And if your answer to the last question was everything, then I would say a good 4 years. If you are mostly interested in one of the things that I mentioned, you could probably get that done in 2 years. Where to get started? When I first got interested in herbalism, I was the most fascinated by what grew near me. I wanted to learn to identify everything. So I would come outside with my field guide and I would go plant to plant, learning how to identify it. Then I would run home, open my other books, and learn the different herbal actions and how to work with that plant. That was my first passion, and that took me a good year of just constantly doing that. And now people call me an encyclopedia, so you don't have to go as far with it as I did. Then I became absolutely obsessed with looking at every product that we used in our household and learning to make it. I became obsessed with chemistry, formulation, and that's a whole nother section. If you're interested in formulating products, the teachers or the schools that you go to will be so very different from someone who wants to work one-on-one, do consultations, and learn more of the anatomy and physiology. This is why it's so hard to suggest books in schools for people, because what part are you interested in? If there's a book on absolutely everything, it's probably not going to be a great book. It's not going to get very in-depth about what you're learning. If you're interested mostly in working one-on-one with people, doing consultations, or being able to diagnose your friends and family, you are going to want to work towards a clinical license. Now, licensing in America is not really a thing, but even still, the courses that you will take to become clinically trained are going to focus more on the anatomy of the body and sort of the different ailments of the body first and foremost, if you will. If you are mostly interested in learning the plants in your area, I would highly recommend finding a local herbalist who offers plant walks and classes. I am not the only herbalist in my area, nor am I even the only herbal school in my area. Or teacher rather. There are many of us in different parts of Middle Tennessee and the Southeast who host plant walks and can work with you on local plants and how to work with them. I teach pretty much a class a month at my store. I try to record them and sell them all online as well. There's virtual tickets available, but plant walks are pretty irreplaceable, and that you need to do in person. I can, however, recommend getting a field guide. Samuel Thayer recently published a field guide that, in my opinion, is the be-all, end-all of field guides. But you can also just get a Peterson field guide for your area. I also love finding vintage and antique field guides because there's often plants in those that are not covered in modern ones. You don't have to worry about that with Samuel Thayer. I feel like he doesn't gloss over anything, but there is still a lot of value in old and vintage books if you want to work primarily with plants in your area. There's a lot of small plants that are deemed less important in science, that don't get as many studies and funding behind them, that you can learn about in books, especially from native authors or indigenous sources, really of any kind. The other thing that I think is cool about getting into herbalism today is that most teachers, like myself, have a platform, whether it's a Substack, a Patreon, a Circle membership, where you can join for as little as $5 a month and kind of get to know them and see if it's a good fit before diving into a $500 to $2,500 course. There is also so much free information out there. There's so many of us on TikTok and Instagram sharing these videos and information freely, which is something you need to be careful with. I also see a lot of people who are not herbalists kind of copying videos and sharing about things that they don't fully know about. And I get it. It's so exciting when you learn how to identify a plant in your yard or how to make something, but just tread lightly. You know, take 2 seconds to click on that person's profile and investigate a little bit to see who they are and what their experience is. I hope this helps.